This is Derech Hashem, Way of God, Chapter 1 of Section 1. This is the second recording, and we are up to Os Gimel. That's paragraph, the number paragraphs 3. Ozer Shieda. We also have to know, She'hamatzu, or a Jewish person also has to know, She'hamatzu hazeh yisbarach shemo, hine mitziusa mitzius muchrach she'yafsher he'adaro klal. So we also have to know that this being, God, may his name be blessed, he is a reality that must be there. It is impossible for him not to be there. If I understand correctly, I think what he's talking about is similar to the way Maimonides describes it, which is that in order for this reality that we experience to be here, so then it is not possible that Hashem, that the Almighty, would not be there. So if we could envision everything else as not being here, that would not affect Hashem at all. However, it's not possible that there should be anything without there being this being that is responsible for its existence. I think he's saying more than just that. He's saying that the Jewish understanding is that Hashem must be there, that can't not be there. But I think that's where he's partly where he's coming from. Fine. Next, Ostalid. This is paragraph 4. Otzarech shieda. We also have to know shemitzius so yisparach eno toli b'zula klal. So Hashem's reality, Hashem's existence, is not dependent upon anything else at all. Inherently, from himself, so to speak, he is the mandated reality, must be there. So not dependent on anybody or anything else. We are dependent upon him. We are contingent realities. He is totally not a contingent reality. His reality is not dependent upon anything else. Okay, Os Hey, paragraph 5. V'chein tzarich shieda, shemitzius so yisbarach mitzius pashut, bli harkava v'ribui klal. This is a tough one. So I'm going to try to go through it, but I don't claim that I understand it very well. There's this idea that Hashem's reality is something that is described as simple, meaning that does not comprise of a composition of composite parts, of a multiplicity of parts. Hashem is not made up of multiple parts. That's in contrast to us. We are made up of multiple parts, multiple bodies. The truth is, as far down as we can go in terms of breaking things up. We are made up of organs, right? Human being is an organism made up of organs, and those organisms are made up of cells, particular types of cells. Those cells have their own organelles within them. They have components, and those components are made up of molecules, and the molecules are made up of atoms, and the atoms are made up of subatomic particles, and those are made up of subatomic particles, and that's as far as we've gotten so far. To the best of my knowledge, my very limited knowledge of atomic theory, but we're all made up of, we're all compositions of different parts. That's not the case with Hashem at all. V'kol ha-shlemuyos kulam nimtzaim bo b'derech pashat. So everything that is complete and whole and perfect in Hashem, so to speak, exists in Hashem in a way that is pashat, in a way that is simple, in a way that is not. So we have different functions because we have different parts, different components. So we can see because we have not only eyes, but we also have a brain that has a portion of the brain that's devoted to being able to process information that is provided, that is brought into the brain via the eyes. Such is not the case at all for Hashem, right? We would say that a human being is very deficient if they cannot see. But right, Hashem, the nature of Hashem's perception is far beyond seeing. Seeing is a very limited form of perception, but Hashem has, whatever it is that Hashem has, is certainly not less than that. His knowing, which seeing is a way of knowing, his knowing is certainly far beyond. But the way that Hashem knows is not through a a composition, a group of different components that are working together. Hashem perceives, and so to speak, in the way that he, if you want to call it that, Hashem knows better, but the vehicle of his knowing is not through a composition of different parts. It's in a way that's pashut. Pirish, what does this mean? The Ramchal continues, Ki hanefesh kihine benefesh yimatzu kochos rabim shonim. In a person's spirit or soul, let's call it, so then there are many different powers, faculties. Shekol echad mehem gidero bifnei atzmo. Each one has its parameters, its definitions in and unto itself. Derech Hashem, for example, has zikaron koach achar. Memory is one faculty that we have, v'aratzon koach achar, and the will is another faculty that we have, hadimayon koach achar, and our imagination is another koach, another force, another faculty that we have. Ve'ein echad me'ela nichnas begeder chaver klal. Each one has its parameters, and it doesn't go into, each one doesn't overstep into its other. Not to say that they don't function together. Kihine, Geder Hazikaron, Geder Echad. The parameters of memory are one thing. Geder Haratzon, the parameters of will are another. They have their own parameters. Geder Acher. In a Ratzon, Nichnas Begeder Hazikaron. Ratzon doesn't take over or infringe upon Zikaron. Once again, not to say that they don't function, that have a relationship whereby they're able to function together, but they still are what they are, and one is not the other. V'lo Zikaron begeder haratzon, and vice versa. V'chein kulam. Similarly with all of our faculties. Ach, ha'adon yisbarach shemo einenu bal kochos shonim. The Master, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Almighty, he is not. We would not describe him as being possessing different faculties. Af alpi shebe'emes yesh bo inyanim shebanohem shonim. Even though then HaKadosh Baruch Hu does things which in us manifest themselves. Those things manifest themselves as different faculties. But so Hashem can, so to speak, do different things, but it's not because he has different faculties or forces within him that are functioning independently, so to speak, in a way similar to our will. Not that they function independent of us, but they function independent of each other to some degree. Ki harehu rotza. Hashem wants things. He wills things. V'hu chacham, and he so to speak, possesses wisdom. V'hu yachol, he has capacity to do things. V'hu shalem b'chol shleimuyos, he is complete, whole, perfect in all forms of completeness. Amnam amitas mitzius sehu inyan echad shekolel b'amitaso ugdero. Et perish amitas inyano. So, meaning that perishes, I know in one version is put into parentheses, so I'll have to break up this sentence. So the reality of Hashem's existence, mitziuso, hu inyan echad, is one idea or concept, let's call it concept, shekolel ba'amitaso ugdero, that it incorporates in its reality and its quote-unquote definition or parameters. Now that's why we need the parenthetical interjection here, because Hashem doesn't have a definition. A definition, the word in Hebrew for it is geder, which means parameters, which means limitations. In a certain sense, this is what he is, this is what he's not. So that doesn't exactly apply to Hashem in the same way. So that's the parenthetically he inserts pirush amitas inyano. What gedero means when we use it here, it doesn't mean definition, but it means the nature of Hashem, of Hashem's reality, so to speak. Ki ein shayach geder bo yisparach. We can't apply a parameter to Hashem. Even saying the nature, right, is a certain is really not accurate. So ela outside heter, it's a heter lashon, I would say. It's a borrowed language just for lack of capacity. Of our capacity to be able to express it any other way. So, kol mashu shlemus. So, Hashem, once again, so that's end of the parentheses, is before this kol mashu shlemus. So to read the sentence as a whole sentence without the parentheses is that Hashem is one reality that contains, so to speak, in him everything that is shlemus. But Hashem is still one reality. So nimtza sheyesh bo kol hashlemios. It comes out that Hashem has all of these wholenesses, all these aspects of perfection. Lo kedavar nosaf al mahus sov amitas yanino, not as something that is appendaged or in addition to his essence. Ela mitzad amitas inyano ba'atzma shekoleles ba'amita kol hashlemios. Efshar le'inyanahu mipilti kol hashlemios mitzad atzma. Okay, so being that, so it's not something that is additional or appendaged to him, but but it's taking into account the reality of Hashem that that contains within its reality, so to speak, all perfection. Right? That's she'i efshar. It's impossible. Inyanahu mibilti kol shlemus mitzadas ma'od. It can't be that what Hashem is, amitas inyano, can't be without having all of those aspects of shlemus, of wholeness, of perfection. V'hinei. This is very difficult to understand, and he himself says it momentarily in a moment. V'hinei be'emes haderech hazeh rachok ma'od mehazar gesenu v'tzirenu. This literal translation is path, but this idea that he's described here is very distant from our experience, from that which we grasp, from that which we can envision. And we virtually don't have a way of explaining it or words to be able to clarify it. Ki ein tzirenu v'dimyonenu tofes ele inyanim mugbalim b'gvul hateva hanever mimenu yisbarach, because our capacity to be able to envision things, our faculty of imagination, it only understands things that are bound by the limitations of the teva, that which was created by Hashem, because that's what our senses perceive, and that those senses basically provide, they bring the images to our seichel, to our minds. So that's how we understand things. We're over time, so we're going to stop there.